How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Black Metal Rebellion. I'm your host, Jesse Morgan, aka Slammerella, and today we have another horror films to watch or avoid episode. But before we get into that, I would like to remind you guys that I also have a skateboarding channel where I do skateboarding related content. I'll let you guys know about different shirt and merch lines that we have going on involving stuck skateboarding. And we also, next year, hopefully we'll be getting some boards made up ourselves, hopefully doing a collaboration with False Assault Skateboards, which is located in Northern Ontario, Canada. And yeah, so part of the deck will probably have our logo on it, have their logo on it, and maybe a graphic in the middle. We got an entire year to save up and figure out what will be done about that. So yeah, if you guys want to hop on over there, check the description box below for how to get there, subscribe, and wait for the announcement on what exactly is going on with that. I will have different videos going on there, obviously involving some skate vlogs and trick progressions and whatnot. There will also be different videos about what affects your skateboard. I already have one on there about the deck itself. The next one coming will probably be about trucks, then eventually wheels and bearings. So yes, shameless plug about the other channel down. Let's get on with the horror movies. First up is one that the wife and I have been trying to track down for a while, as it hasn't had a release date in Canada yet. So we had to go on Amazon or eBay, I can't remember which one it was, probably eBay actually, and find a copy from the States. And the movie I'm talking about is Hellfest. This was an interesting movie to say the least. The previews looked great, which is why we wanted to get it. The wife and I usually try to get up to the Halloween haunt at Canada's Wonderland each year. Sometimes we miss it though, depending on who's all able to go and the ride situation, etc. But I don't think we made it up there this year. So having this Hellfest film in our collection was, a nice kind of treat, and I know the wife really enjoyed it. It was good. If you don't know what Hellfest is about, basically this group of friends go to a Halloween haunt type of event, and the disc isn't interesting, it's just gray, but it's really good. The main premise is that they go to a Halloween haunt and some disturbed individual decides to take it upon themselves to stalk and hunt down the group one by one, killing them in different manners. One with a giant hammer to the face, another by stabbing them through the eye with a syringe, I think. There's a bunch of numerous crazy kills in it. The graphic gore is pretty good considering. I think it's all mostly practical effects with some CGI here and there. All in all, really good film. If you like Halloween haunt type of films, sort of like The Joyride or Haunted Ride or whatever the fuck that movie was called, I can't remember at the moment. But yeah, they end up going to this kind of abandoned carnival and have some serial killer track them down and hunt them. The ending of this has an interesting twist that you're kind of not expecting to do with the killer. So, watch to the end for that. That was an interesting little tidbit that I wasn't expecting. Lots of cool costumes from the rest of the actors in this that surround the Hellfest. So yeah, really good. 9.5 out of 10 from me. Some of the acting might not be the greatest, but what do you expect with, horror movies? All right, next up was one that I was kind of looking forward to. I'm a fan of James Gunn. I like his work that he did with Marvel. I liked his Slither film. If you haven't seen Slither, go check that shit out. Great horror film if you're into creature feature type of things. So I had to pick this up. Really wanted to see it. Never got a chance to see it in theaters. What I'm talking about is Brightburn. Basically the evil Superman story. A horror movie version of what a kid coming from another planet, arriving on Earth, being raised by a couple of farmers that have to keep his secret. And yeah, so basically it's a Superman story that ends up going horribly wrong. The kid discovers that he has powers, and basically a coming of age story that ends up with him being kind of inappropriately stalkerish. He reacts badly to teasing at school. He hurts one of the kids badly, and then a couple of people start catching on that he's not quite the same as other kids. His lust for attention and approval kind of makes him spiral in a negative fashion, and making him use his powers for evil more and more. And then he ends up fashioning this creepy fucking mask and a weird kind of Michael Myers-y, Chucky looking overall suit. And basically just goes on a kind of slow but pretty persistent killing spree. Some of his family members, some of his school staff members and stuff like that. It's creepy. It kind of keeps building and building until the end. And yeah, it has an interesting kind of climax. The ending leaves it to possible sequel. There's definitely not going to be a sequel to this. I'd be very surprised if there ends up being a sequel to this, but it kind of has that evil Chronicle feel about it. If you ever seen that film Chronicle, you'd probably enjoy this. I don't know. Anyways, I digress. This was actually really, really good. I don't know what a lot of you guys thought of this. I'm pretty sure it got all right reviews. I heard it didn't make too much at the box office, probably because there's a bunch of other cool stuff going on in theaters though, so perhaps it didn't get the love it deserved. I enjoyed Brightburn. Really creepy kind of take on what a Superman could be, and worth watching. So yeah, 8 out of 10. Good movie. Check out Brightburn. Next up was something that a lot of my kind of film related YouTuber subscriptions that I'm subscribed to and watch on a daily basis were talking about, that being John Campea, that being Robert Meyer Burnett, that being the dude that talks way too fast and doesn't know how to take a breath. I can't remember his name. He always ends his videos with him punching the camera at the end. Anywho, what I'm talking about is the 5-part miniseries called Chernobyl. Now, it's not a horror movie, but it had some horrific events in it, had some very gruesome practical effects in it when it came to the people who were irradiated and dying of irradiation and cancer and gamma sickness. So there is definitely some creepy, horror, gory elements about this. So if you are a horror fan, you might enjoy this. Excuse the bad pun here, but it was a bit of a slow burn. Haha. There's a little bit of dry, slow, kind of, I guess, boring parts to this. But if you are interested in the Chernobyl event at all, and you don't mind character building, kind of sprawling plot and event analysis type documentaries and stuff like that, this is good. This is actually really well done. It's more than likely probably very accurate. I don't know if it is or not, maybe it isn't, but it's a documentary. They're supposed to be pretty accurate, so I'm assuming that everything that happens in this is more than likely close to 100% true, and if so, holy Jesus, it was good. It's once again, it's a slow burn. You really have to be buckled in and not have too much caffeine, and make sure you're awake for this one, because there's a lot of stuff going on in it that you'll just probably miss if you aren't really ready to sit down for a long haul. It is 321 minutes altogether, so make sure you have a good chunk of your day carved out if you want to binge the whole thing. It's a watch, man. It's quite a watch. It's really good though. Like it covers how everything started. It covers what happened in the meltdown, why the meltdown happened, how the government got involved, and how terribly they tried to A, cover up the situation, and B, handle the situation and resolve it. It all basically comes down to this dude right here who, holy shit, if I was him, I'd be so fucking annoyed and pissed off with the incompetence and lack of intelligence and foresight that all the rest of the people he's dealing with is in this. Like, if I was that dude, I'd be like, fuck it, let him burn. You're idiots. You call a scientist in here to give your opinion, or to give his opinion and take his advice, and you shit all over him just because it's not what you want to hear. Well, sorry, sometimes you gotta take what you don't want to hear and do something about it that's appropriate and good for your people. Well, the Russian government didn't do that. They, I think at the very end, started to clean up their act and actually do some shit about it, but holy Jesus. Needless to say, shit goes kind of wrong. People get hurt that don't need to get hurt. A lot of people die from unnecessary exposure. There's one point where they have these coal miners digging under the factory or plant to make room for some sort of water to go under there and blanket the radiation from going through something, or get rid of the water so it doesn't spill out into the waterways. And they basically said, nope, sorry, we can't give you fans or any sort of cooling system because it'll blow the dust into the air and irradiate everything around it. Even though everyone within a fucking probably 10 square mile of the thing is already going to die of cancer in 20 years anyways, or sooner. So yeah, you basically have a bunch of naked coal miners walking around with their dingleberries hanging out for like a good 10 minutes of this. So that was kind of funny and unexpected. So, you know, if you're shy to nude men's asses and dingleberries, there's that in there. So you might want to cover your eyes or something, but that's in there. I found it funny. It was a really interesting kind of reality shaking look at what some of the people had to go through when involved with this Chernobyl incident. So that being said, this was really, really good. It's as chilling as it is essential watch, which is true. It's pretty good. It says it's riveting. It is if you don't have ADD, because if you do, this is gonna be boring as fuck for you. But for an intellectual person that can sit through hours of documentary type footage, this was good. I really enjoyed this. It was definitely worth the $20 spent on this, or however much we spent on it. Really good. It's going to be a hard thing to watch more than once, though, because of just how thick and dense the content is in this and how much of a slow burn it is, but well worth it. At least watch it once somehow. 9.5 out of 10. Next is another Hell movie. This one's Hellboy, the remake, I guess. And I don't know what the deal was with why this didn't make so much money. I saw the trailers. It looked amazing. I love David Harbour and pretty much anything. I like Mila Jovovich. Yeah, Mila Jovovich, and pretty much anything she does. And yes, I've seen her in other stuff than Resident Evil, and so should you. But Hellboy, the reimagining or whatever this is, was good. I liked David Harbour's portrayal of Hellboy. I like the prosthesis. I like the makeup. I like his witticisms, especially that part in the trailer where he's like, this isn't going to work because I'm a Pisces and you're a crazy bitch. Like, that just tickles my fancy. I like that kind of humor, and the way he does it is funny. He sticks the landing with a lot of the humor in this. The characters besides him and Mila were interesting. The dad character has kind of like a sorrowful goodbye, but not really, because spoilers, kind of gets temporarily brought back for a scene or two, and that's also a pretty, you know, like heart-hitting moment where he's kind of like bonding with his kid and kind of saying his goodbyes. I like that. The giants in this are very interesting. Some of the CGI, I know people complained about, but it's a horror movie, man. It's the mix of practical and CGI sometimes hits, sometimes it doesn't. It was a kind of an in-between there. But if you kind of just take it for what it is, I like to say, watch the movie as if this is actually happening. And if you do that, you're going to be able to just kind of put these technical misgivings aside and just kind of focus on what the story is and just kind of take it for what it is. It is a really good Hellboy movie. I really enjoyed it. It's unfortunate that it didn't make enough money to warrant a sequel, because I would watch as many of these as they would want to spit out as they could. That being said, I somehow feel like they maybe in the back of their minds knew this wasn't going to make that much for some reason, because they threw in the kitchen sink when it came to this. They threw in the Baba Yaga. They, spoiler alert, threw in him being full Armageddon Hellboy mode with his giant horns and the fucking like burning crown and that giant sword. And shit is just going crazy by the end of the movie. There's like ancient ones, leviathans and shit cracking up through the streets and oceans and floating through the sky, and it's just literally all hell is breaking loose. So I think somehow they knew that this wasn't gonna make enough money to warrant a sequel, so they just wanted to throw everything in and have a giant crazy climactic ending. So yeah, a hell of a spectacle, very good entertainment quality, and it was It was good. Honestly, I really enjoyed this. Don't know why it didn't make as much as it probably could have. People are so up their own ass and super judgmental with movies these days. I always seem to give a lot of passes to these things and don't really see all the nitpicking points that people come up with these days. Maybe it's my naivety or naivety, whatever, however you pronounce that. Maybe it's my just able to like sync up with the movie and just enjoy what's happening and be able to go, yeah, I could, relate to these characters or in a certain way. I don't know what it is, but for the most part, I give a lot of these movies that people shit on or just don't go to see a hell of a pass. Like, and they don't, and it's not like I'm trying to give them a pass. It's just I just feel they're mostly really good. So, yeah, I'm glad I bought a copy of this, and so should you. Good Hellboy movie, like 8 out of 10. Don't know what the problem is. Next, this one is a anthology film that's not really an anthology because it's a very streamlined film that involves kind of like creepypasta stories, but it's all centered around these group of kids in high school that discover this supernatural book that was written by this albanized girl that was kind of poorly mistreated by her parents or relatives or whatever, was locked in this room and just abused basically, and she died in that room, I guess. And while she was in there, she made a story collective book and cursed it. So what I'm talking about is scary stories to tell in the dark. Dig that simple kind of Goosebumps looking cover with the scarecrow with the crow on his head. Very creepy and Are You Afraid of the Dark looking. I enjoyed this. Funny enough, I didn't actually see too much of the trailers regarding this movie, and not really interesting disc, but there you go anyways. It just seemed like something that would be interesting and kind of like a fun thing to watch. Now, it's rated 14A for frightening scenes and violence. This is definitely not something for you to put on for someone under, obviously, 14. Well, I don't know. If your kid's 10 and older, it's probably not going to bug them. I wouldn't recommend this for younger than that, though, because there are some pretty frightening scenes, especially the shackling or jangly man or whatever the fuck it's called at the end of this. He's pretty creepy, and his body parts fall off, and he puts himself back together, and yeah, very unexpectedly body horror type of character at the end. So I wouldn't recommend this for your 8-year-old nephew. You know what I mean? But also, there's not, from what I remember, too much gore in this. There's not too much like cursing or swearing. There's not like any nudity from what I can remember. So it's not terrible. So if they happen to like sneak out of their rooms and watch it without you knowing, they're not going to be scarred for life or anything. But yeah, I'd say it's kind of meandering between young adult and adult content on this kind of horror movie. It's not, for an adult, it's not scary. It's not, oh my god, like I'm shaking for watching this. It's not anything like that, but it's pretty entertaining. I gotta say, for like a supernatural creature type of horror movie that involves creepypasta type storylines, it was good. I'm glad we got it. It was worth the money that we spent on it, and hopefully they do a sequel, because this was really cool. Some of the creatures in this was neat. This was, I don't know if you can see that, but that kind of chubby, gory, lady ghoul thing was kind of creepy. Like I said, the jangly man at the end is like, what the fuck? That's nightmare fuel. The pussy spider bite, ugh, that made me gag a bit, especially when you see the spider come out of the pus thing and like start moving its like claw around. I'm like, nope, no thanks. That's a bunch of hell no for me for that part. So yeah, even as an adult, there's some parts in here you're kind of like, no thanks. It was also a good movie. 7 out of 10. Go check out Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Especially if you're a fan of Goosebumps or, Are You Afraid of the Dark? It's like the next level up. A third hell-related movie. I had to get this. If you love Rob Zombie, there's no reason why this shouldn't be in your collection. This is 3 from Hell. The basically summation and I'm assuming final part of this trilogy involving the Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses characters here being Otis, Baby, and this made-up brother that they had to put in here because Captain Spaulding, Sid Haig passed away. It's unfortunate. I would have loved to see more Cutter or Captain Spaulding or whatever you want to call the guy. He has a lot of names in this, in a little bit more kind of solid role, as opposed to just kind of giving a little tongue-in-cheek spastic speech before the rest of the movie continues on. Unfortunately, he's in this for all of like 30 seconds at the beginning when they get caught and taken to jail. Anyways, this was all right. It was, I'd say, just as good as The Devil's Rejects. There's some parts in here that kind of go off the rails and don't really... Like, the first half of the film is good, but then when they go to Mexico, or I think it's Mexico, and it's kind of goes downhill from there, in my opinion. It's not as interesting. There's not as much horror chaos that these guys bring. They go to Mexico trying to escape the authorities and start a new life. Not for the better. They want to start a new life and cause as much chaos as possible, they say, in it anyways, and that's what Baby wants to do. Then they run into this Mexican cartel called the Black Satans. I think it's actually called the Black Satans, which, if you're a metal fan and you know about the Black Satans band, the parody black metal band, that just makes it even more hilarious and less able to be taken seriously. So there's that weird Mexican cartel called the Black Satans in this. They've got pentagrams and they're wearing like luchador masks with like tuxedos, and I'm like, what the fuck? I don't know whose idea this was, or if this is a real thing. What the hell? I don't know how they expect to be taken seriously. I guess the only way you'd be able to take them seriously is if they're mowing down friends and family beside you, because I guess the threat of death would be real. But other than that, just looking at these dummies in suits and luchador masks isn't scary. They're not intimidating at all, and they kind of are laughable, especially the name, the Black Satans. Even Otis in this kind of makes a comment where like, what do you mean Satan's coming for me? I am fucking Satan. Like, even he's like, you get out of here. But yeah, they have to face off against the Black Satans, and they win, obviously. Spoiler alert. Why the fuck wouldn't they win? Rob Zombie isn't going to make them lose. These characters are pretty iconic, and I don't know if this is the series finale or the trilogy's going to end with this one, but obviously they walk off into the sunset. There could obviously be more sequels if they plan on it. Unfortunately, like I said, Captain Spaulding's not in this, and I highly doubt that Rob Zombie will ever recast the character in respect to Sid Haig, but I really, really want to see more Captain Spaulding. Like, I know it's blasphemous to even think of it, but I'm sure there's an actor that has the acting talents that Sid Haig has, and that looks sort of like Sid Haig, that they could bring back to be the Captain Spaulding character. But it would have to be like a prequel and set before, or maybe around the same time as House of a Thousand Corpses, so they could make him look younger or justify him looking different. But I don't know how I'd rate this. I guess out of a 1 to 10, it's a 7.5 out of 10. It's like a good Rob Zombie Firefly family film, but I would say it's probably the weakest link of all three. I would say The Devil's Rejects was the best, then House of a Thousand Corpses, and then this one, if I was to rank them. I would love to see more Dr. Satan too, like from House of a Thousand Corpses. That was a really cool, fucking weird character, and I would love to see his backstory and where he came from and how he gets his victims, or if he just gets them via the Firefly family. Like, there is a hell of a lot of lore and backstory that could be done with this group of characters. So maybe a prequel trilogy based around the time of House of a Thousand Corpses, if Lionsgate, is that who that's involved in this? Yeah, if Lionsgate ever allows for it, since they finally gave Rob Zombie the go-ahead for this. I think they own the characters somehow. I don't know how Rob Zombie got screwed out of that deal, but yeah. Oh, and Danny Trejo is in this, I guess, for like a couple of minutes. So if you like Danny Trejo, he's in this. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this installment of horror films to watch or avoid. There's the stack. Go check them out. Let me know which of these films you've seen, which have you not seen. Give me your opinions on these films. Which is your favorite? What have you still have to go see out of these? And that's it. Until next time, for glory, for the Rebel Alliance, Slammerella out.